Part 215. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu. Chapter 2141. Right now, it's all a trick. When the assessors of the light camp feel that their interests have been harmed, they will naturally fight for it with all their strength. The decisive attitude shown at this moment is extraordinarily real. But obviously, since Guangming Academy has made up its mind, it will naturally not change its mind due to their fuss. At this moment, everything has become a foregone conclusion. Quiet. Shui Wanren, the deputy head of the Guangming Academy, roared again, and the words of the deputy head were naturally useful. Although everyone showed aggrieved and helpless expressions on their faces, they would all hang on in front of this deputy palace master. Unless you really don't want to live anymore, you don't want to continue to participate in the entrance examination of Guangming Academy. Now that Guangming Academy occupies a dominant position, they can only obey orders. I don't really understand why you guys are so excited. When I said to increase the quota of 6,000 foreign students, why didn't you resist or object? Now I just announced the only assessment charter, and it immediately caused a commotion. What? Could it be that you feel that your fighting power is not as good as that of the young talents in the fallen sanctuary? So scared now? Scared now? I'm ashamed of you all. Speaking of it, you're all around 1,000 years old, your number is as high as 1.2 million, and there are only 200,000 young talents in the sanctuary of the fallen world. Are you so unconfident? If you don't even have the responsibility and courage to do this, then don't even think about joining my Guangming Academy. I am Guangming Academy, not a place to collect garbage. I hope you can understand this point. Of course, what I said just now is not aimed at everyone here, I just want to warn those who try to make up for it. If it doesn't work, you can choose to quit. I, Guangming Academy, have never forced you. After Shui Wanren, deputy head of Guangming Academy, finished speaking, the audience suddenly fell into silence. The words are not rough. In fact, to be honest, this is the truth. I want to take advantage of it, but sometimes I really can't do it. That kind of aggrieved and helpless feeling gathered in my mind, and I felt inexplicably horrified. In addition, I have a surprise to tell you. Shui Wanren, deputy head of Guangming Academy, suddenly changed his tone, and became very kind again. This method is too routine. A big stick in one hand, and sweet dates in the other. Fang Fan smiled silently, and looked at everything in front of him indifferently. This time, in order to reward everyone here, after the assessment is over, the 1,000 people who have the most school tokens will be rewarded by the school. The person who ranks first in the number of school tokens, reward 1 billion low-grade star cores. 100,000 credits. 100 hours of training time for the Tower of Light. After Shui Wanren, the deputy head of the Guangming Academy, finished speaking, the audience was filled with horror, and then there was a sound of gasping, and the expressions on everyone's faces were particularly shocked and excited. It is obvious from their eyes that some disbelief can be felt. The Guangming Academy is really bleeding this time. The reward for the first place is enough to make even a strong person in the holy state feel jealous and envious. For Fang Fan, he doesn't pay attention to the rewards of 100,000 credits and the training time of the Tower of Light, but the billion low-grade star cores are real. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu. Chapter 2142. Speaking of which, at his peak, he only possessed hundreds of millions of low-grade star cores. Guangming Academy is trying to appease, tisk, not to mention 1 billion low-grade star cores, 100,000 credits. 1 credit can be directly exchanged for 10,000 low-grade star cores in the academy, and 100,000 credits are also worth 10. I have a low-grade star core of 100 million, But how could the students in the academy waste their precious credits in exchange for a low-grade star core? In the Guangming Academy, there are countless rare treasures and even high-level exercises and combat skills. These are simply impossible to obtain by relying on star cores, only credits. Credits are the most common hardcore existence in the entire Guangming Academy. If the credits can be bought and sold, I am afraid that there will be countless people willing to exchange 20,000 low-grade star cores for 1 credit. Your focus is wrong, these are a hammer. The most important thing is the 100 hours of training time for the Tower of Light. This kind of reward is generally only rewarded to those supreme talents who use it when they are promoted to important levels. It is said that there are several first-grade divine veins in the Tower of Light. The fusion of these first-grade divine veins seems to have formed a trace of divine vein fire. Practice in the Tower of Light. It is said that practicing on the top of the tower can even increase the speed of cultivation by 100 times. If you practice in it when you break through the bottleneck, you will be able to greatly increase the probability of promotion. It is said that even the first level and second level tutors of the academy can't practice in it regularly. This Tower of Light is the landmark building of the entire Guangming Academy. If I can get the first place in the assessment. Brother, can we stop daydreaming? All kinds of shouts were endless, and the scene seemed extremely lively. Apparently, the strategy of the deputy palace master of Guangming Academy with 1 big stick and 1 sweet date has succeeded. Now the eyes of all the examiners are focused on the rewards, as for the others, naturally they don't care. Even, all the gods were involved in it, completely unable to extricate themselves. Everyone, please be safe. When I finish my announcement. The first place in the assessment, reward 1 billion low-grade star cores. 100,000 credits. 100 hours of training time for the Tower of Light. Second place in the assessment, reward 500 million low-grade star cores. 50,000 credits. 50 hours of training time for the Tower of Light. The third place in the assessment, reward 200 million low-grade star cores. 20,000 credits. 20 hours of training time for the Tower of Light. Ranking 4th to 10th in the assessment, reward 100 million low-grade star cores. 10,000 credits. 10 hours of training time for the Tower of Light. Rank 11th to 100th in the assessment, reward 10 million low-grade star cores. 1,000 credits. Rank 101-1000 in the assessment, reward 1 million low-grade star cores, 100 credits. When all the relevant rewards were announced, the audience was enthralled. Who wouldn't want to take these rewards? It can be clearly seen that only the top 10 examiners in the assessment can enter the Tower of Light to practice. One can imagine its gold content. In fact, if you look at it roughly, the rewards for the top 100 examiners are slightly better. As for the 100th to 1000th place, they are basically in the state of consolation prizes, and they can be sent at will. Originally, I only wanted to get a student quota from the inner palace of Guangming Academy to go back so that I could become a quasi-saint, and then complete the mission goal of the later stage of latent. I didn't expect that there would be a wave of oil and water in this process. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2143. The corners of Fang Fan's mouth raised slightly, thinking in his heart, his eyes became more and more clear. If these cultivators under his command can sweep the top 100. Fang Fan thought in his heart, and then his eyes suddenly lit up. In this way, the low-grade star core alone can get more than 3 billion, plus more than 300,000 credits. These credits are at least equivalent to more than 3 billion low-grade star cores. With such a calculation, if the wish can be achieved, The harvest can even reach nearly 7 billion low-grade star cores, plus the training time reward of the Tower of Light. This vote is really worth tens of billions of low-grade star cores. This wave will take off directly. Fang Fan took a deep breath, his eyes flickered one after another. It must be a lie to say that he had no feeling at all. The excitement in his heart at this moment was beyond words, the smile on the corner of his mouth was also very real, and his thinking was also at this moment suddenly broke out. A big order of tens of billions, I have to accept it? It seems that after entering the examination field, you can't be idle. When you get these star cores, you can enter the card auction system to sweep a wave. All kinds of high-level cards that I was reluctant to buy before, this time I have to buy enough at once. Fang Fan let out a foul breath, thinking in his heart, and then prepared to explode in full force. Hello. Do you want to go with our examiners from the 100 Flowers Sanctuary later? I got news that someone wants to harm you. You beat that Koj godson from KD Sanctuary so hard, he threatened to make you look good inside. Dressed in plain white robes, with a faint fragrance, Fairy Liulai of Beiwa Palace in Beiwa Sanctuary walked over with twinkling eyes. Obviously, she was caring for Fang Fan, or in other words, she was afraid that something unexpected might happen to Fang Fan. Are you concerned about me? Fang Fan raised his eyebrows, and a wicked smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. I don't know why, but every time he sees this Fairy Liulai from Beiwa Palace, Fang Fan wants to make fun of her a little more. It always feels so much more comfortable in my heart. Even Fang Fan himself didn't know what kind of pathological mental model this was. In fact, sometimes Fang Fan himself is quite confused. Who cares about you? I'm just afraid that if they kill you, then, that little Pixia will be left alone. While Liulai Fairy was talking, she forcefully explained from the side. Is that so? Since you know that the people from KD Sanctuary are eyeing me, won't I implicate them if I act together with your examiners from Beiwa Palace? Fang Fan shrugged, smiled, and said. This. I didn't think so much. But if the two of us go together, it's better than if you go alone. KD's sanctuary is a second-class sanctuary, and the comprehensive power of the second-class sanctuary is really not comparable to that of our third-class sanctuary. While talking, Fairy Liulai followed suit with persuasion. Don't worry, I have a measure. Besides, each examiner will issue a distress order. Once the distress order is crushed, it will be sent out of the Guangming Mountains within 3 seconds. If it really comes to the last moment, I won't carry it to death. It's you, pay attention to your own safety, and ask for help at any time if anything happens. Fang Fan smiled, then subconsciously stretched out his hand to stroke Fairy Liulai's hair. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2144. Probably because he got used to rubbing the dog's head of the little slave Xue Ling angrily, and he couldn't get rid of this bad habit. You. What are you doing? Fairy Liulai suddenly fell in love with Fang Fan, with an unbelievable look in her eyes. This guy, how could he blaspheme her like this? There is no relationship between them. Seeing Liulai Fairy's innocent face, Fang Fan scratched his head in embarrassment. For it. Sorry, I thought I was catching my little slave girl. Fang Fan said sincerely. At this moment, he was so embarrassed that he flew up. Little slave girl. You are not a good thing. Fairy Liulai stomped her feet resentfully, and then flew away. That look, obviously really angry. Fang Fan's face is full of helplessness, he can't control some things, he is also very innocent, okay. Who can withstand this wave after wave? Yo. The little lover is gone. Our Lord Fang Fan is really busy. This makes the little girl's face so red and tender. There were bursts of sour voices in my ears suddenly, and I saw Murong Yu walking from the side pretending to be nonchalant, and even deliberately pretending to be a wave. You come here in disguise, what do you want me to do? Fang Fan raised his eyebrows, and then asked, the assessment is about to start now, if there is nothing important, Murong Yu probably won't come over. Snort. I just came here to remind you. Otherwise, let's forget about this assessment. Nowadays, with the addition of practitioners from the sanctuary of the fallen world, there are too many accidents. If you don't pay attention, you may get stuck in it. I don't think there is any need to go through the muddy water this time. I know that you want to enter Guangming Academy. After this assessment, I can use my relationship to make you a student of the academy. Murong Yu's expression suddenly became solemn, and while he was talking, his eyes flickered one after another. Murong Yu came here to persuade her to return. She knew Fang Fan's temper and never liked to give in. Once she fought with those powerful examiners in the Guangming Mountains, it would definitely be a fierce battle. After all, Fang Fan came from the third-class sanctuary Qingtian Sanctuary. No matter how strong his personal combat power is, if he can't beat four hands with two fists, various accidents may still happen at that time. If an accident happens suddenly, it would be too late to reverse it. That is to say, taking advantage of this time, it is naturally excellent to be able to avoid some risks. Finished. Fang Fan listened quietly for a while, and then subconsciously yawned after he heard nothing. What on earth are you thinking? In the past, the assessment casualty rate of Guangming Academy was basically controlled between 10% and 20%. But this time, no one can predict which direction the final situation will develop. You are rushing forward now, coupled with your tough temper, it is really very dangerous. Murong Yu continued earnestly. Tisk. Sure enough, the little slave girl is not in vain. She knows she cares about her master's safety. Fang Fan looked relieved, and then he leaned into Murong Yu's ear and whispered something. Who's worried about your safety? Shameless. Murong Yu rolled his eyes, and then said angrily, this little temper followed. I should have known earlier that you must still go. Your temper is too tough. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2145. Murong Yu curled his lips, and then sighed from the bottom of his heart. He, I remember that there seemed to be a bet between us. If I can make 100 Inner Palace students born in Qingtian Sanctuary, you have to promise me 3 conditions, right? Fang Fan raised his eyebrows and brought up the old matter again. Yes, so what? You also said that if you can't do it, you will let me handle it. This is simply impossible. You said that at the time, didn't you just want to win my attention? Your little thought, I already knew. Murong Yu rolled his eyes and said angrily. Who said this is impossible? I didn't just talk casually at the time. Actually, what you said is right. At that time, I really thought that one of the conditions would be to let you become my slave girl. But I didn't expect the development between us to be so fast. Since this is the case, the conditions can be kept. Anyway, you have to remember the 3 conditions. Fang Fan's rambling eyes glanced at Murong Yu's graceful figure, then his eyes focused on her gorgeous red lips, and a wicked smile gradually appeared on the corner of her mouth. What do you want to do? Can you tell me? I don't know what to do when you look at me like this. Murong Yu took a deep breath, more or less flustered at the moment. Fang Fan smiled silently and said, the last time we were in the small world of Shushan Pavilion, you used your mouth. Before Fang Fan could finish speaking, Murong Yu's face turned crimson, and he said eagerly, what nonsense are you talking about? Can you stop being so shameless? Murong Yu gritted his teeth, and complained angrily. Shameless. Use your mouth to help me play a piece of high mountains and flowing water. How shameless is that? Didn't you say that you seldom play music? The last time I heard you sing well, it's just that you didn't want to continue playing. I just put forward such a condition, what does it have to do with being shameless? Fang Fan said solemnly, the expression on his face at this moment was very sincere. When did you become so elegant? There's something wrong with you. A suspicious look appeared on Mirong Yu's face. Fang Fan in her impression has always been handsome and handsome. Why does it look a little different now? The assessment is about to start, I have to leave first, otherwise I will be discovered. Since you don't want to leave, it's up to you, but if you really can't hold on anymore, you must choose to crush the distress order. Once you crush the distress order, you will be teleported away within 3 seconds. Of course, you will also lose your qualification for the assessment. Even if you lose the qualification for the assessment, don't take risks. There are many opportunities to join Guangming Academy, so don't risk your life to gamble. Mirong Yu persuaded with a sincere face. After speaking, he left in a hurry. Fang Fan fell silent. There are more or less emotions in my heart. He heard all Mirong Yu's words just now. This is all in consideration for him. In all aspects of this, Fang Fan still had some deep feelings in his heart. Thinking of this in his heart at the moment, all kinds of thoughts gathered in his heart. It's hardest to bear the grace of a beauty. Fang Fan, stop thinking about it. I will provoke less women in the future. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2146. Bai Biao walked over with arms folded, talking, and then complained from the side. Since the days when he was in contact with Fang Fan, things have changed one after another. It's like cutting leeks. It's fine if you are a pure scumbag, as long as you have that virtue, but the key is that everyone is still emotional. This is so amazing, it can be tossed. Bai Biao thought in his heart, the desire to complain inexplicably became stronger. Let's go, the assessment has begun, don't talk nonsense. Fang Fan ended the topic, and immediately rushed over. At the entrance of the Guangming Mountains, a teleportation circle is placed at this moment. Only 10,000 people can be randomly transferred at one time, and it is unknown where they will be transferred. However, if you want to be in the same place, you only need to connect each other with ropes, so that when you are teleporting, you can gather together smoothly. In fact, to a certain extent, this kind of assessment method is indeed very unfair to those small power assessors. Big forces can easily worry about tens of thousands of examiners, but what about those third-class sanctuaries? At most, 2,000 people will gather together, and maybe they will be divided accordingly. This wave of Fang Fan is not going to follow the team of Qingtian Sanctuary, he just wants to take off alone with 100 or so people under his command. If it really gets mixed up, what should be done after killing the monsters and obtaining the school tokens? Don't distribute it, it's not very good. But if it is really distributed, so many people will directly disperse the school tokens. Besides, Fang Fan didn't think that working together could kill more monsters and get more school tokens. Director Fang Fan, I wonder if I can. Cannot. As soon as Fu Sui, the third peak goddess of Genji Shenzong, opened her mouth, she was immediately gagged by Fang Fan. Some things just need to be crisp. He will never do anything that is not beneficial. Director Fang Fan, don't get me wrong. We are preparing to take out 500 million star cores from the Yishanzong to hire you to protect us for a while. Our requirements are not high, we only need to have 3 foreign students from Genji Shenzong. If there are more, Genji Shenzong, are willing to continue to add more star cores. Huangfu Sui was talking, and then handed over a storage ring. Huangfu Sui. You, what do you mean? 500 million star cores. You get 500 million star cores with one mouthful. You have so much courage. My Genji Shenzong's star core was not blown by a strong wind. At this moment, in the Genji Shenzong group, a young man shouted viciously. This young man, Fang Fan, has also met before. He is Shamanchuo, son of the first peak of Genji Shenzong. It seems to have been quite arrogant all the time. Fang Fan glanced at the storage ring delivered by Huangfu Sui, and then at Shamanchuo, the son of the first peak of Genji Shenzong. His eyes flickered. With Shenjing in front, no one can choose to ignore. He also didn't expect Huangfu Sui to have such courage to take out 500 million low-grade star cores. It seems a little strange for a goddess of the Genji Shenzong to be able to take out so many star cores. With the star core in front, it is naturally not hot. Since you want to cooperate, let's get rid of that noisy guy first. Fang Fan glanced at Huangfu Sui indifferently, and directly stated the relevant conditions. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2147. Fang Fan thought the reward of 500 million star cores was okay. It's just helping Genji Shenzong to get 3 more places for foreign students, it's not a big deal. The quota for almost one foreign student is worth more than 100 million low-grade divine crystals. Fang Fan raised his eyebrows, his eyes flickered silently. In order to be able to produce a few places for students from other palaces, Genji Shenzong really spared no expense. Who are you calling noisy? Fang Fan, I know what you mean. Shamanchuo, the son of the first peak of Genji Shenzong, immediately let out a roar, obviously still very unconvinced, and made a gesture of rushing over to discuss all aspects with Fang Fan while speaking. Snapped. Shut up. There was a loud slap. Fuxuo, the third peak goddess of Genji Shenzong, snorted coldly, and sharp rays of light flickered in her eyes. As soon as this statement came out, it showed a domineering attitude. Fang Fan glanced at Huangfu Sui unexpectedly, but he didn't expect this woman to be quite resolute at the critical moment. Not everyone can do this wave. After all, Huangfu Sui, who is also the son and goddess of Genji Shenzong, will not be much higher in status. Huangfu Sui. Are you crazy? You actually slapped me. Do you know what you're doing? I, Shamanchuo, am the son of God of the first peak. You, Shamanchuo, have been chasing you for so long, but you haven't moved at all. Why? When you saw this man, you started to rush forward. While talking, Shamanchuo showed his gnashing of teeth vividly. The sound of inhaling gradually became more and more real, and the feeling of aggrieved in my heart permeated little by little. Obviously, he was very unconvinced, and at this moment he just wanted to seek justice for himself. But the so-called fairness is just a ridiculous joke to him. In general, without the slightest sense and value. If you are not convinced, you can leave the ranks of the Genji Shenzong examiners. I am the leader appointed by the suzerain, and I have all the decision-making power. I hope you can understand this. If you don't want to obey me, for the sake of fellow Genji Shenzong practitioners, letting you leave safely is the greatest respect for you. Director Fang Fan is the key to our Genji Shenzong's success in this assessment. If you continue to be so rude to Director Fang Fan, don't blame me for being indifferent. At that time, it will not only expel you. Huangfu Shui said in a slightly indifferent voice, and the murderous intent flickered in his eyes. While speaking, various ideas suddenly exploded in his mind. Now that he has decided to follow Fang Fan and set foot on Fang Fan's ship, he has to show his proper posture. He. How? Are you going to kill me for him? I. Shamanchuo, son of the first peak of Genji Shenzone, sneered, and then the expression on his face changed suddenly. He noticed that Huangfu Sui's indifferent gaze was turned towards him, and at the same time, many practitioners of Genji Shenzone had already gathered beside him. Obviously, from the standpoint of these examiners of Genji Shenzone, it is a very lucky thing to be able to stand next to Fang Fan. After all, Fang Fan has oppressed the second-class Shenzi of the Kaidi Sanctuary before, and his combat power is there. They bring an extremely deep sense of trust. Everything has been settled with the dust. Director Fang Fan, look at the 500 million star cores, it's our wish. Huangfu Sui said respectfully. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2148. Fang Fan nodded silently, with a slight smile on the corner of his mouth. He was silent. If you don't earn a star core, you're a bastard. All actions follow my command. Everyone is not allowed to make any changes. By the way, how many examiners do you have in Genji Shenzone? Fang Fan raised his eyes and asked immediately. Hearing Fang Fan's question, Huangfu quickly replied hypocritically, there are 513 people in total, among them, 3 are cultivators at the peak quasi-sage realm, high-ranking quasi-sages. Okay, I got it. When I go to the teleportation circle in front of the Guangming Mountains later, they will all be tied together. Fang Fan nodded silently, and then followed up with a reminder. Soon it was Fang Fan's turn to come to the teleportation circle and teleport 10,000 people at once. Ordinary small forces can be together at the same time. After a period of dizziness, the picture in front of me gradually changed. This should be the Guangming Mountains. Actually, relevant formations are arranged around the assessment site, and this place is also part of the periphery of the Guangming Mountains, so there won't be too many high-level monsters. Most of the monsters were captured and specially treated by the mentors of the Guangming Academy. They all hide the tokens of the Academy in their bodies. Our purpose is to snatch the tokens of the Academy. Fang Fan's eyes scanned the surrounding area, and the sense of silence became more and more intense. Roar! Ho 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 ho! A series of beast roars came, and the entire space shook violently. Fang Fan squinted his eyes and glanced at it, then nodded silently. Their luck was not bad, the first wave was attacked by a wave of monsters. My lord, there are a total of 37 blood-hoofed jade lions. Among them, there are 2 blood-hoofed jade lions in the top quasi-sage realm, and the rest are from low-level quasi-sages to high-level quasi-sages. Galen rushed forward to investigate a wave, and then followed up. Fang Fan nodded silently, his eyes flickered, various thoughts gathered in his mind, and then he nodded silently. These hoofed-blood jade lions can only be regarded as a wave of appetizers. Fang Fan is as immobile here as a mountain, but for the practitioners of Genji Shenzone, at this moment, he looks like he is facing a big enemy. After all, there are 2 monsters of the peak quasi-sage level, and there are many high-level quasi-sages. They are in the middle of the one god sect, so the 3 peak quasi-sacred cultivators. At this moment, it seems more or less cautious. Arrange the formation. Ready to attack at any time. Without my order, no changes are allowed. Come together. Fu Sui, the goddess of the 3rd peak of Genji Shenzone, took a deep breath, and while speaking, her eyes flickered intermittently. In her opinion, a bloody battle was about to usher. Hans, leading the legion of sharpshooters in the Gothic sanctuary to snipe from a long distance. Fang Fan waved his hand indifferently, he didn't even mobilize the whole army, he just ordered a wave of sharpshooters from Goth Sanctuary. On such a battlefield, their combat power is completely sufficient. Boom! Bang bang bang! One round of sniping is the fall of 12 blood-hoofed jade lions. Hit them all on the head, one hit kills. More than 30 bloody jade lions were killed in just a few rounds of sniping. Roar. Among them was a blood-hoofed jade lion king who was at the top of the quasi-sacred realm, roaring, and wanted to rush towards him, but what was waiting for it was a light bullet. The bullet pierced straight through its head, and continued to kill with one blow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shuyu. Chapter 2149. Looking at the corpses of bloody jade lions all over the ground, everyone under Fang Fan's command was already used to it, but from the perspective of the practitioners of Genji Shenzone, this is a miracle. A great miracle. At this moment, they opened their eyes wide, took a deep breath subconsciously, and all kinds of thoughts gathered in their minds, and it was already difficult to contain the excitement in their hearts. Extreme quasi-sacred monster, just pull the trigger and kill it. No. It's impossible. Call. Hoo. There must be something wrong here. I don't believe it. I absolutely don't believe it. Shamanchuo, the son of the first peak of Genji Shenzone, trembled his lips, and while talking, his eyes flickered one after another, and even seemed a little weak at the moment. If all this is true, and the guards under Fang Fan have the ability to instantly kill the Supreme Quasi-Sage, wouldn't they be able to kill him in seconds? Shamanchuo, the son of the first peak of Genji Shenzone, subconsciously swallowed his saliva, put his hands together in front of him, and thoughts gathered in his mind, more or less terrified at this moment. Shamanchuo silently glanced at Fang Fan's position, then silently took a step back. Before, it was because of ignorance that he was only provoking Fang Fan, but now his heart is more or less beating. I thought to myself, if Fang Fan remembered these grievances, wouldn't he really be abolished? Shamanchuo's face was full of bitterness. It was really too difficult. Clean the battlefield, prepare to go to the next location to cull monsters, and collect school tokens. Fang Fan directly ordered that now is not the time for ink marks, the assessment time is only 7 days. He must collect more school tokens within 7 days. Only in this way can the more than 100 Legion soldiers and heroes under his command enter the top 100. Endless temptation. The corner of Fang Fan's mouth raised slightly, thinking this way in his heart, and then he was ready to fully display it. Director Fang Fan, you are stronger than I imagined. These guards under your command, I'm afraid they have already broken into the sanctuary realm. Fuxue, the goddess of Genji Shenzone, walked up to Fang Fan's side secretly, talking, and then silently followed with her head bowed. Huangfu Sui, I just saw that 12 guards under Fang Fan's command took action, and they were all so powerful. If these are sanctuary realms. Huangfu Sui's eyes gradually brightened, the sound of gasping for breath seemed very real. Among the ordinary third-class sanctuary examiners, there is not even a 1-star sanctuary. Even in those second-class sanctuaries, the cultivators of the sanctuary realm are not Chinese cabbage, they are as good as the sky, there are just dozens of them. In the second-class sanctuary, apart from the temple of the second-class Light Alliance, there are even first-rank forces stationed. Huangfu Sui looked somewhat messy from now on. Before, she just thought that Fang Fan was powerful in battle, so she chose to apply directly. Now it seems that not only Fang Fan, but even these guards under his command should not be underestimated. Huangfu Sui suddenly felt a sense of gratitude. Fortunately, I made the right choice at the beginning. It took 500 million star cores to hook up with Fang Fan, and the safety factor was greatly improved. Under this assessment rule, only those who depend on the strong can survive. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2150. Faced with Huangfu Sui's question, Fang Fan didn't hide anything, and nodded casually. Although he already had some answers in his heart, Huangfu Sui still had endless emotions in his heart after receiving Fang Fan's affirmative reply at this moment. They all came from Qingtian Sanctuary. Why is the gap so big? In the next day, Fang Fan searched for the traces of those monsters. I also killed a lot of monsters, but in general, not enough, very not enough. In one day, we encountered a total of 7 waves of monsters. We killed more than 300 monsters in total. Among them, only 200 monsters had the tokens of the school hidden in their bodies, and the total number of tokens obtained was only 250. About 10. It's evenly divided, and you can't even share a school token. Fang Fan curled his lips, and then complained. My lord, the main reason is that the token of the school is too hard to find. Generally, 1 will be hidden on a high-level quasi-sacred monster, and 2 will be hidden on an extremely high-level quasi-sacred monster. As for those middle-level and earth-level monsters that are connected to the quasi-sacred realm, they basically just follow their fate. This is not counting the monsters that escaped from the interior of the Guangming Mountains. There are also a lot of monsters that have not undergone special treatment. The entire periphery of the Guangming Mountains is really too big. Galen sighed with emotion, and then complained from the side. Fang Fan was naturally aware of these problems, and he even thought about simply dividing his troops and letting the 9 legions and the heroes sprint from all directions, so that the probability of capturing the monsters would naturally be greater. It's just too unstable like it is now. Maybe you can change to a dead end. You can selectively attract those monsters. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes, then said silently. It is so difficult to pursue silently. Attract. Director Fang Fan, those monsters are too cunning, and ordinary things may not be able to lure them. Besides, the space around the Guangming mountain range is too big. Empress Fu Sui, the 3rd peak god of Genji Shenzone, shook her head silently, feeling that this idea would be difficult to implement successfully. Fang Fan suddenly remembered that there was an attempt to attract monsters in the Chentian secret realm of the Chentian family. At that time, if he remembered correctly, he used the golden blood of the little golden dragon to attract a wave of monsters. If it is calculated in this way, maybe it can be considered from this aspect? Fang Fan's mind moved slightly, and then he pulled out the little golden dragon, and specially took some golden blood. The golden blood diffused in the air, and rich energy gathered in it, but after waiting for a long time, there was no movement at all. Boy Fang Fan, the cultivation level of the little golden dragon is too low. Although the golden blood of a real dragon is a good thing, a golden dragon of this level is probably not taken seriously by those monsters. Bai Piao walked over, telling the truth with one word. In reality, that's how it is. These monsters don't devour everything, they also have their own choices. If the little golden dragon at this moment is the god's favorite in the holy realm, then his blood is a great tonic for those monsters in the quasi-sacred realm, and it can naturally attract all beasts to come. Little golden dragon's golden blood is not good. Then do something slightly more high-end. For example, the blood of God. Fang Fan squinted his eyes, and his thoughts suddenly exploded.